Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and yet another episode of my AOR League Racing series. And here today we are here for the German Grand Prix, round number 11 of the season. And if you guys did miss the last race for the British Grand Prix, round number 10 for my home race at Silverstone, then do check the episode out by clicking the card in the top right hand corner of your screen. But today, like I said, we are here at the Hockenheimring, a track that I quite like. It's one of my favourite ones on the calendar, and it's generally quite an enjoyable track to drive on. It's a short lap, so you know there's very little room for error, and generally because the lap times are quite quick around here, every tenth and every thousandth of a second matters. That way it makes a very important track on the calendar. And also I need it to be a turning point, because Silverstone, if you haven't seen it, it was a great race for me and my best one of the season so far, and I'm hoping I can continue that here today at the Hockenheim, because if I can get a good result, I can maybe get myself slowly but surely back into championship contention going into the second half of the season. But the Hockenheim, you can see the compounds available. Interestingly enough, no super softs, so we go from the ultras straight into the softs and the mediums, so that's going to make strategy quite interesting, and generally we're going to see what kind of options or strategy people go for. As always, we've gone for the hardest selection of tyres, so let's see how that one plays out, and let's jump straight into qualifying. Let's see where we line up on the grid. So jumping into qualifying, and like I mentioned, on the hardest compound of tyres we're going to go out, which in this case is the mediums, and we're going to try and get a couple lap times in and just get a feel for the circuit, see what the conditions are like, see where the grip is, and just generally see if we have the confidence to push and get a bit of an idea and a bit of a baseline as to where we can improve lap time wise. But as you can see, we're going to get straight to the track on the medium compound tyres straight away, trying to find some lap time here and hopefully performing to a pretty decent level as we get on towards the end of our medium tyre lap here. Now going through the final couple of corners, and all about just keeping the lap together and making sure you bring it in one piece to the line. We do cut that final corner though, unfortunately, just taking a little bit too much curb on the inside, and that lap doesn't count. I will say I was struggling in this particular qualifying session for just optimization. The game was laggy for me and I was dropping a lot of frames. So again, you can see on the straight there we actually had a screen freeze and actually lost time into our delta, and I was struggling with that, you know, the entire session. As you can see, another screen freeze there mid apex, and that makes me go wide, and yeah, just generally it was not going smooth, and I was really struggling to try and put it all together. And as you can see, now going through the final couple of corners, this time we do not cut the final corner, and we do come across the line to set at least a benchmark lap time, this time on the faster soft compound tyres, but I knew I had to go back out on the ultra softs, and that's exactly what I've done. With the minute left on the clock, we're going to try and go on board here for a full lap of the Hockenheim circuit. So here we go, turn one, absolutely perfect. No track extending there, keeping it nice and clean as we now race towards turn 2, breaking that 100 metre ball down to third gear, pick up your apex and get the power as soon as possible to maximise your speed down this back straight. Purple first sector straight off the bat, as we look pretty good here for pole position thus far. I think the fastest lap so far is around 1 minute 11.0 or something like that, so that's kind of the target to beat. As we now go into the hairpin, breaking at the 100 metre ball down to first gear to really get the rotation on the front end as we now get the power down, going up through the gears, nice clean traction as we now go through the flat out kink into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand section. This left-hander, very tricky brake zone, but just before the 50 metre board, we go a little bit wide and lose the back end mid-braking there. Definitely cost me about 3/10 of a second, maybe something like that. Not a very good line through there, pretty scruffy, but we are still a 10th up going into the final sector as we now go through the stadium section into the Sachs hairpin here. All about momentum and hoping the car sticks. We go a little bit wide there and actually don't really use the camber in the corner to our advantage, so a couple of mistakes and generally a scruffy lap as we now go through the final couple of corners. And unfortunately, once again, we just cut the corner there as we run it up to the line. We are going to set a 1 minute 10.8, which was my lap, with a couple of mistakes that definitely could have been easily a 0.5. And unfortunately, you can see there coming into the session, we would have had pole position by an absolute mile if I just put a lap together. Yeah, just a real shame, you know, cutting the corner, making those mistakes. It could have been like a 10.5 or a 10.4. You know, it really was a good lap, and I definitely had some great pace, and I was absolutely gutted to see I was starting from P15 in the race tomorrow on the grid. You can see there Skatey getting pole position in the Ferrari's first pole in the AOR, and then we've got Lemon in second, who was the man we was battling with in Silverstone last race. Then we got Assassin in third, Lasser, Collis, and then also Marion, who's a new person that's joined the league. Then we've got JSR, my teammate Martin G, and then finally Adidas Tracksuit rounding off the top 10. Hazard, Enigma, and Corny, iPony, and myself will all start on the free choice attire in the race tomorrow. But generally a disappointing qualifying, it really was, and you know, just like in Silverstone where we missed out on pole by a fraction, and I won the race, but I had a time penalty to my name, and it should have been a race win. Again, here at Germany, definitely pole position just slipped through the cracks there, because we definitely had the pace to easily qualify on pole there. But it's worth mentioning, a lot of people on the soft compound tyres here, so it's going to make for a very interesting race strategy wise, and it's going to open up a lot of opportunities. So let's see what happens, and hopefully we can have a good race and try and turn it around on the Sunday. With that being said, let's jump into it here for round 11 for the German Grand Prix. It's time for the race. So moving on to the warm-up lap, and as you can see the strategy on screen, one stopper with the softs onto the mediums, and I do think the ultras would have been tricky to pull off a one-stop strategy. You can go ultras onto the mediums, it is possible, but you have to manage your tyres. I think I probably would have pulled it off, and that's what I would have gone for had I got pole position, because I knew I had good pace, so I can afford to, you know, take off some of that pace and just focus on my tyre saving. But instead we're going to start last, so a bit of a contrast as we start from P15. But anyway, let's see what happens. We've got fresh soft compound tyres on the car, so hopefully we can turn it around and have a good race. Here we go, we get ready for the 5 red lights here at the Hockenheim. The lights are on and they are off, and away we go for the German Grand Prix, and it's a pretty bang average start off the line here as we look to keep our nose in one piece going towards turn 1, trying to keep our nose clean, just getting a little swish back there on iPony, and also getting the run on Corny in the Mercedes as we now go down towards turn 2, being a little bit braver on the brakes this time, trying to go down the inside. We've got Hazard there on the left hand side as well, now getting on the power, letting Corny take the position on track to then try and get the slipstream down the back straight. I go briefly into Rich Mix and overtake ERS and try and make an overtake happen, but a little bit of screen freezing there, and also I turned down the engine modes because everyone's pulling the slipstream here, so it's absolutely pointless as we now go into the hairpin. Lots of locking up here. We do tap the back of Enigma, and luckily we keep our front wing in one piece, and it's 3 wide in front of us, so we're going to try and go for the gap in the middle between a couple of cars. Going into the kink, we get a little bit of contact and we have to get out of it, and we do drop down a P12, back down the inside though. Again, we try to have a look, locking up the left front, and now we've got, I think that's Corny on my outside here, and now the inside for the next corner, but we just about hang the car on the outside line and stay in front of the Mercedes in what has been a chaotic lap 1 so far. But so far, our nose clean, no front wing damage, and that's exactly what you want as you now go into the stadium section. Enigma all over the back of JSR, and now pretty much the end of lap 1 draws to a close. However, we're going to go for a brave lunge down the inside on Enigma, squeeze him out a little bit there, probably a little bit harsh on my behalf. I probably should have given him a little bit more room there, but in the moment I was committed to making that move stick. And moving on to lap 2 then behind JSR, who is in P10. If we can get this move done, we'd be in the points already after 2 laps, which would be great progress. And down the inside we go on the brakes into the hairpin, late move, picking up the inside line, using first gear to rotate the front end, and then getting the power down early on to get the move done. And JSR settles for P11 behind us as we now move on towards Adidas tracksuit in the Sauber, also on the soft compound tyres as we set a personal best, and DRS gets enabled now. Going on to lap 3, we get our first track extend warning of the Grand Prix, but we've got a good run on Adidas tracksuit here, so we're going to cash in and make the move down the inside. A little bit of a trail break there and a little bit of rear end rotation into the corner, but we get the move done, and Adidas tracksuit settles in behind us as we actually get the DRS onto the back straight, which is going to be very helpful for us. But Adidas tracksuit though, he's got DRS as well, he's not letting this one go without a fight, and he goes to the outside down towards the hairpin. A good late braking move there from the Sauber man, but we do hold the inside line, pick up the traction, but again Adidas tracksuit fighting back. Good action here, side by side, clean racing as we now go through the kink into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand. Who's going to break the latest? It's pretty 50-50. I'm going to try and go around the outside of the Sauber man, and we get pretty good traction, and then we pick up the inside line through the right, and this time we do get the move done for P9, and we are looking bloody good in this race so far, and we're only 3 laps in. So far good progress on the soft compound tyres, and this is looking good so far. But Adidas tracksuit though wasn't done with me just yet, and on lap 4 he actually overtook me cleanly with DRS assistance down towards the hairpin and got the move done first time of asking, so fair play, and we dropped back down to P10. But I wasn't too worried because I knew I had good pace, and it was all about, you know, just getting past the Sauber driver and pretty much making the move stick. And then on lap 5, that's exactly what I plan on doing here as I set up Adidas tracksuit for the move. But then JSR tags me from behind in the Renault, and we go towards the wall. Luckily no front wing damage sustained, and fair play to JSR who actually pulled over and waited up for me. I said to him after he didn't have to do it because I'm not a fan of the whole waiting up thing, because it ruins the other person's race. You know, JSR should have just kept on racing, and then, you know, if he has to take a penalty after, then take a penalty, but don't ruin your entire race, you know, waiting up for me basically, especially because I took so long to get the car turned around. And yeah, overall a shame for him and a shame for me. But moving on towards lap number 6 now, and this race has turned from an attacking race into a recovery drive, so we've got to try and get our way back through the field. And so far, a couple of cars in the pit lane there, those on ultra softs making their early stops, and because of that we're making up a few positions. So we now jump up into P11 there, and we are once again on the cusp of points in this race, but we still have plenty of laps to go, and there's a lot of things that can happen here in this Grand Prix as we now move on towards lap number 11. And unfortunately we pick up our first penalty of the race for track extending, and it's a 3-second time penalty. Just like in Silverstone, we've pushed the limits a little bit too much, and we're going to pay the price. So yeah, pretty much a slap on the wrist there, and a bit of an unfortunate one for me, as we're now behind Hazard here in the Mercedes for P10 for the final point. We're going to try and get the slipstream here, DRS wide open along with some rich mix and also hot lap ERS mode, and then up into overtake to really get the overspeed as we get to the inside line. And we're going to brake nice and late down the inside, make the move pretty comfortably, and make sure Hazard doesn't get a switchback on us. And there we go, that is what you call a textbook maneuver down the inside, and we are back into the points. But still a long way to go. Lap 14 out of 34 as we jump up a few more positions here as we've got cars leaving the pit lane in the form of Collis, a championship leader. We just about saved the car from a spin there midway through turn 1. But yeah, very scary moment. And we've got Lemon in front as well in the Force India, the man that was obviously battling with me in the last race. But now moving on towards lap 15, we've got plenty of cars in the pit lane this time around, and we're going to gain quite a few places here and jump well into the top 10 all the way up to P5. Once again getting loose through turn 1 there, and you've got, look at that, you've got Lasser and Lemon, I think, battling in front of us, so that's going to be a pretty interesting scrap. We've got Collis meanwhile behind in the Haas, who has now warmed up his tyres, and he's looking pretty damn dangerous here. And I think Lasser's going to try and go for the move here, DRS wide open in the Haas. I'm going to cover the inside slightly and then really commit to it towards the end, but Collis really makes a brave move down the inside, and I give him plenty of room as he makes the move. But we do pick up the traction. He's on those medium tyres which aren't particularly grippy, and I'm going to try and stay in the slipstream here, maybe try and get back past Collis. You never know, you can maybe make something happen. We go for a little look down the inside of Collis, locking up there under pressure, but ultimately he's going to make the move because we are scheduled to come into the pit lane this lap for our one and only stop this race. As you can see, a couple of corners later we peel off in towards the pit lane, and that is going to be a pretty good stint, you know, considering the spin. We recovered quite nicely, got ourselves back into the race, and you never know, we could be on for some points here if we keep on fighting. Currently down to P8, we've got a few more cars coming by the start finish line now, and we drop down to P12. So we're now going to go onto some medium tyres as we now drop down to P13. So pretty much that's the task in hand. You can see where we are on track. There are those who are on a 2-stop who started on ultras who might not be able to make it work. So there might be a few more places up for grabs as we've got a couple of cars that we've got Marion in the pit lane in the Force India. So we're going to jump up to P12 on lap number 19 here. So just over half race distance, and they're slowly making progress as now we've got Assassin in the pit lane. So we're going to jump up to P11, and we're pretty much in hot pursuit here of Enigma. Now Enigma was the person that I pretty much spent the rest of the race hunting down. He was on a similar strategy to me. We were pretty similar pace, but then we picked up a second 3-second time penalty, which makes our penalty total 6 seconds. And pretty much I spent this stint, like I said, chasing down Enigma in the Ferrari, and eventually we caught up to the back of him here, as you can see, and I'm going to try and see if I can get past the Ferrari man here, picking up the slipstream, opening up the DRS now on lap 25, using the engine modes. We're going to power past the prancing horse, and we are into the top 10. But now obviously we have the small little detail and caveat of penalties. Now in terms of the cars in front, we've got Skatey and Adidas Tracksuit. Now those guys, I think they have a couple of penalties between them, so pretty much as long as I overtake them, then we should be okay. Enigma doesn't have any penalties at all, so as long as Enigma, who is similar pace to me, stays within 6 seconds, he can actually finish ahead of me this race. So my task was for the remaining 6 laps to get past Adidas Tracksuit and Skatey and hope that Enigma gets caught up in the battle, and we can try and get a 6-second gap to the Ferrari. So straight away you can see these two guys, they've been battling for a little while now, and we're going to try and see if we can make the move past, because the quicker we pass these guys, that's going to give us, you know, a chance to break away, and Enigma's going to have to do the same thing. And these guys are really battling heavily here as we go down the inside of Skate here. It's a brave move, a bit of an unexpected one. I kind of locked up and it was kind of an accidental overtake. I wasn't meaning to make it happen, but it just kind of happened, and Skatey, lucky enough, left me the room, and I can make the move there. So we've got past one, now we've got to get past the Sauber of Adidas Tracksuit once again in this race, who we had a good scrap with earlier on before the incident. So it goes to show how far we've recovered in this race, considering the spin that we have. But here we go, onto the back straight, lap 29. DRS open once again, engine modes engaged, full power, and we're going to try and get the toe here as we go down the inside into the hairpin, late braking manoeuvre, and Adidas Tracksuit locking up a little bit there on the inside front. We're going to get the power down, and this time Adidas Tracksuit doesn't hold it around the outside, and we do stay in front, and we are up into P8 in this race, although Adidas Tracksuit not quite done as he goes around the outside, but we are going to defend it beautifully into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand. And now is our time to push. We need to go as hard as we can here and try and break a 6-second gap to Enigma in the Ferrari, because that's going to be the target. And you can see on the minimap already, towards lap number 31 here, we're making great progress, and we're opening up a gap now. Currently 2.7 to Adidas Tracksuit, and Enigma is struggling to get past the guys behind. Also, I found out my teammate Martin G, who is in front, actually had a 9-second penalty. So if we can just close the gap down enough, then we should be good. And as we see there's Martin G, and we have to get within 3 seconds. Meanwhile, Adidas Tracksuit behind us now is 7.3 adrift, so we've cleared Enigma. The question is, are we within 3 seconds of Martin G to pick up P7 in this race? Yes, we are, and we just about get it. And overall, very happy with that. A good recovery drive. We get P7 considering the incidents. Personally, that was a race I should have won. It could have been 2 race wins in a row after Silverstone and Germany. Instead, I've come away with, what was that, 2nd place and 7th place. So that's going to be 24 points instead of 50. So disappointing. Can't lie, I wasn't happy. I knew I'd missed a lot of points for the championship, and yeah, it's just kind of annoying because, you know, these 2 races have been the first time I've genuinely had pace, and I've thrown it away both times. So yeah, overall disappointing, but still not too bad. We recovered, and I'm quite happy to say we scored 6 points considering our issues both in qualifying with the performance lag and also in the race, but getting taken out by JSR. But all in all, Collis wins. The championship leader extends his lead, which is kind of annoying. Lemon gets 2nd, and then we've got Lasser in 3rd. IE Pony, Ian Bastien, Corny, myself, Martin G, Enigma, and Skatey round off the top 10. Skatey having started pretty high up on the grid, finishing in P10. Disappointing for him there. And then Assassin, Adidas Tracksuit, Marion, and Hazard all towards the outside of the top 10. And in terms of the standings after that race now, I'm going to update you guys on the situation, because after Germany we got that 7th place, as you can see there, but then I didn't attend Hungary, I didn't attend Spa due to illness, and also I think I was away for one of the races. I think it was when I was at Nottingham and I couldn't race. So basically, first of all I picked up flu, and then another time I went to Nottingham for a couple of days, and pretty much I wasn't able to attend the races. So as you can see, I've got 2 did not starts to my name, which means we drop down to P7 going into Singapore, which will be the next race we upload. I did go to Italy, I did race in Italy. As you can see, I got P13. It was not a good race. I was looking pretty good, you know, position wise. Qualifying, I kind of threw it away. In the race I was P10, but I had good pace, but then I disconnected, so my AI car kept on driving and finished in 13th place come the end of the Grand Prix. So pretty much I've missed the last 3 races, and I can tell you I did Singapore yesterday, so that race did happen, and that will be uploaded onto the channel very soon. And then we go to Russia next, and I think for Russia I'm not going to be able to race because I'm going to be in the UK again. So my next one will be Japan. So pretty much I'm looking to close it off. The last 5 races, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, I want to go as hard as I can and try and crack into the top 3. Collis got promoted to F2, and I think IE Pony might have as well. I think there's 2 guys, but I can't remember which ones it was. Either way, you can see in the championship though, we are quite a way behind, and we've got a lot of work to do. The current championship leader is Corny in the Mercedes in P3. So you can see the gap, we're 40 points adrift, so I need a big result in Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi really, and I need to get at least 1 race win. I won't forgive myself, you know, considering what I've thrown away this season so far. I'll be disappointed if I don't get a race win. So yeah, with that in mind, hopefully we can turn it around. But generally guys, that's going to be it for this video, and if you did enjoy it, then please do drop a like. Also do get subscribed if you're new to the channel guys, turn notifications to not miss a single upload from me, and finally check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and yeah, I'll see you in my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.